Hello everyone, welcome to our tutorial on decrypting malicious basics for PowerShell code. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge and tools to effectively analyze and neutralize harmful scripts. If you're a cybersecurity analyst or a CTF player looking to tackle complex basics for codes, this video is for you. So let's dive in. So I have two examples for this video. One of them is from an article from Sophos Security, and one of them is an example from Practical Malware Analysis course from tcmsecurity.com. So let's look at these two. So let me just copy this one to. So while analyzing PowerShell code, most of the time we'll be using CyberChef to easily decode, encode, or do other operations on that data. Okay, this is our first example. I have pasted into CyberChef. CyberChef is a Swiss Army tool for cybersecurity researchers or CTF players. You can do a whole lot of stuff, as you can see on the left hand side. But for our purposes, what we'll do is we need to decode this base64 string and then do these actions like deflating the stream. We can do it on CyberChef easily by using from base64. But first of all, we need to actually cut out the base64 part of the script. Let me copy that and delete the rest. And I have copied the base64 part. So then what we need to do is, as you may have seen on the code, IO compression deflate stream. So we need to actually do that to see the actual code, what it resides in that base64 command. So the method that I am showing you guys is one, but I will also show you another method to decrypt or see the contents of this base64 command. There is also a deflate function called raw deflate in CyberChef as well. It automatically does it for us. So when you click the magic button, it will do all these things. And then we will have a PowerShell reverse shell by Ivan Sinjek, version 3.5. As you guys can see, there is an IP address, there is a port, there is the client, TCP client, IP port, a basic reverse shell. We can identify the IP address and the port. Nothing much going on right now, but so this was the first method to decrypt the PowerShell. So a second method is by using PowerShell, guys. So what we can do is, rather than doing this stuff on CyberChef, we can tell PowerShell to, hey, store these values in a variable and then write the variable to the screen. So we need to remove the IX part, so invoke expression part. So let's remove the invoke expression and also remove one parenthesis at the start and one parenthesis at the end also. What we want is we want to store this one into a variable. Let's say our variable is, let's call this malicious, okay? Malicious equals this one. Let's copy this one. You can either use PowerShell, or I like to use PowerShell ICE. It's for scripts. So let me just copy paste this one and then press enter. It's not going to do anything, don't worry, because we have just stored the malicious contents in a variable. So right now what I have to do is just write host and then point the variable that I want, which is malicious. As you guys can see, I just had to remove the IX and then give it a variable, store it in a variable, and then give it to PowerShell to do the hard work for me. I don't need to know how to use the CyberChef or how to deal all with this. I just know to, if you store it in a variable and if you remove the IX, it's not going to be executed in the PowerShell runtime. In here, you guys can see that there's the IP address 10.10.115.13 and the port number, which is 1433. So this was the first example. Let's look at the second example. This is also a malicious script used. And okay, let's look at our second example. I got it from the Sophos community. This is actually used in an attack. So let's look at the code, comspec, some parameters, and then our PowerShell code that we like to see. So let's look at our code. PowerShell, no profile, window hidden, and then the encoded command. So it goes to the end as base64. I believe there is nothing. Yep. So let me just quickly control copy and then paste it into CyberChef. We are going to use CyberChef to decrypt this one. So let's remove the null bytes. And let's also remove the first part that starts with comspec start PowerShell. We just need to input the base64 part of the code itself. So in output, we can identify some of the characters, but as you can see, there are a lot of null bytes. We can use a function or operator called remove null bytes, which will give us the decrypted base64 command. So let me copy this one as well. Let's open up a new notepad. And right now, this is also a base64 encoded command. So the attacker is storing all the contents in a variable called S. Let's identify this one as sans. So sans will do the rest for us. So let me copy this one and remove the input again and remove the recipe. Okay, as you can see, there is also another base64 cipher. Let me copy this one. And there is another operator at this one. This is called gzip stream compression mode decompress. So after we do from base64, we need to use gzip to decompress as well. So let me remove all this and just paste the base64 part of the code. So from base64, here's our guy. Okay, after we apply the from base64, we need to actually use gunzip to decompress the data. After we decompress, as you can see on the output, we can identify the functions. And if we go down, we will see another base64 string again. And after this base64 string is stored on a variable called var code, var underscore code. After that, the attacker used another function. So for the value x equals 0 and then plus plus. So it's using XOR encryption or encoding, and the key is here 35. So let's get the string from here, carve it out, Control C, and after we do from base64 operation, we have to also use the XOR with the key of 35 to identify the C2 address used in here. Okay, so let me remove the input again and give it a go. And let's also remove the gunzip. And now we need to use the XOR and use the key as 35, but this is decimal. After we apply the XOR encoding decoding with the key of 35 as decimal, we can easily identify that there is an IP address called 149.28.81.19, and we can see this looks like a user agent, Mozilla 5.0 compatible, MSIE, Windows NT 601. So we have identified the IP address and the user agent used in this PowerShell attack. So in this video, I have showed you guys two methods to actually decrypt base64 files. First one is to use CyberChef to decrypt the known encodings or decodings applied to the base64 code. And the second method is to remove the invoke expression from the beginning of the code, then store it in a variable, and then we will write host and then variable name to see the contents of that variable. So thanks for watching to this far. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.